on A to D. Come talk some Sixers. Huge win. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, stay with us for a while. Giddy up.
Oh my God!
Embarrassed!
He's flying!
Welcome in. It's almost time.
Welcome in, everybody. This is the NBA on A to D. We are brought to you by FanUp. FanUp is the best way to enjoy fantasy sports, daily NFL contests, daily NBA contests, and more. Use promo code A2D. Get $50 right at sign up. You can download FanUp right on the Apple Store. Nick Delgazzo, Ryan Brodo, I'm Tom Arnone. Everybody out there, welcome in at the end of the show and throughout the whole show. Ask us anything. We'll talk about Tyrese Maxey's injury. We talked about it right before we came on. Obviously an ankle, praying that it's just a sprain. We'll even take a high ankle sprain, praying that it's not a broken ankle or something, a broken foot. So everybody, we'll maybe pray later on in the show, but looks to be okay. I know he's getting an MRI, but I'm going to try to stay on the positive side. Looks to be okay. Sixers shopping Tobias Harris. You know, after a win tonight, I'm sure people are going to say, see you later. See you, Tobias. I don't know. I did say this was the best year that you could trade him because it's 1 year left on his deal, and it gives teams a little bit more flexibility, but we'll talk about that second portion of the show. Sixers versus Bucks post-game is our main topic at hand, and we are brought to you by, and that's brought to you by Baggio's Bread, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, the home of the best bread, sandwiches, desserts. They're the home of everything. They really are the home of everything. Like, they have everything. If you see their social media posts, there's nothing they don't have. It's truly amazing. Even Thanksgiving feast for the people. They got Thanksgiving feast.
Yeah, he just made some like pork Frankenstein today. It was unbelievable. Sent me a picture. Pork wrapped in bacon. Oh, my goodness gracious.
Madon. And guess what? 10% off your in-store purchase. You just got to mention A2D, Baggio's Bread, Mount Laurel, New Jersey is where you can find them. Our poll question for tonight, you can vote for it on Facebook, YouTube, used to be Twitter, but you can vote for it there and join the conversation. We just watched the Sixers' biggest win of the year. Do you agree or disagree? Let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, everywhere. Everywhere you get your podcast, we're there as well. Let us know. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Make sure you're downloading, comment in, and on both platforms, if you want to support A2D and everything we have going on here, you can super chat us over on the YouTube side, and you can send the stars over on the Facebook side. So both places, if you want to support us, we're not going to drop our Venmos in. We're not dropping Cash Apps in like some of jabrones out there. We ain't begging you for money. But if you like to support us, you like us, you want to help us grow, stars on Facebook, super chats on YouTube, and comments alone help too if you ain't got Fazools. So we don't need it. Absolutely agree to this poll question. Are you guys kidding me? What an effort tonight. What an effort. You're shorthanded. Not only are you shorthanded, Tobias and Harden, right? Then you get hit with another throughout the game, and Tyrese Maxey. Granted, his 24 points helped before he went out. So now you got to do it with Joel and a bunch of other guys. And I thought those bunch of other guys were sensational tonight. Sensational. When you talk about Shake Milton, George Niang, okay, I thought House had a good game in the starting lineup. Melton played well. But Shake and Niang were unbelievable off your pine. All right? Niang had 17, Shake had 50. We always talk about Shake and score, right? Shake and score. He needs playing time. Tonight he gets it, and he proves it. But the little things, right? You're talking about the number one rebounding team in the NBA when you talk about the Milwaukee Bucks. 42-41. So you lost a rebounding battle by one. That's an energy thing, right, boys? We talk about it all the time. That's an energy effort thing. Fast break points. Milwaukee loves to run. They love to get out and get the horse out and running in the Greek Freak. They love to do it. And guess what? You held them to 10 fast break points tonight. So all those little things, and I know people are going to struggle with content tonight because you can't talk about just firing the coach. Hell of a job. We're going to keep it real one way or the other. Hell of a job by Doc Rivers tonight. And maybe, I'm not telling you got to go crown the guy. I'm not telling you got to love the guy. I'm not telling you deep down you don't want him fired. But what I will tell you is you better put a little bit of respect on tonight's win and give him a little bit of credit. That's all. You don't got to give him credit for his whole career, etc. Give him a little bit of credit tonight. And I know a lot of people podcasting out there don't have negative shit to talk about tonight, so they will struggle. But guess what? Deep down here, we want wins. We want Broad Street. We want to be better. And tonight's a tremendous win. Completely agree to the poll question that it was the Sixers' biggest win of the year. And obviously we haven't had a ton of games. But not only a big win, you had a layoff. You won 2 in a row. Now your winners are 3 in a row. Hey, I can't say enough good things about the response from this basketball team after the start they've had, right? After the start they had. I mean, so that's why you say don't panic early on. Let it see it play out. They're playing really good basketball. Looks like they're making the extra pass. Okay, we saw that. Their offense is moving more. There's more screens. There's not as much one-on-one basketball right now. So, listen, without Tyrese Maxey, you'd be in trouble for a while. Okay, this isn't going to be an every night thing where you're getting that kind of production from your bench. But guess what? You hope he's not out for a while. Joel's the best player in the league. Maybe not named Steph Curry or Luka Doncic, right? Maybe not name those guys. Maybe even a little Ja piece. There's a lot of good basketball players. Joel Embiid's the best in the league, and he's the most dominant, and you see what he can do. Because he's doing all this. Leave you with this. He's doing all this without even getting up, down in your face. He's doing all this by this, I'll elbow jumper you to death, and you won't stop it. Because I'm that good of a shooter because I watched white guys shoot growing up. Mic drop, let's go.
It's funny. A couple days ago, and this goes right to this game, which to the poll, I absolutely agree with everything you said, Tom. And first off, just the way you win a game. I mean, I was looking at the numbers here just in case my eyes didn't tell the full story. You know who your second leading scorer was? If you don't, I'll tell you. It's a guy who only played one half, Tyrese Maxey. So I mean, that shows how great Joel Embiid was, but it shows how the extras or the others, as Shaq says on NBA on TNT, not NBA on A2D, NBA on TNT, says where the contributing factors really stepped up. Shake Milton with 15, George Niang with 17, even Daniel House with some really good minutes, and especially on defense. But just centering in on Joel Embiid, I was asked a couple of days after we did our last show, which I was joking with Sweet on, that as critical as we were as a show, not because we were like ripping them to shreds, but we had some criticisms on our first show last Friday. Boy, it's like they listened to us or something because they've been anything but what we described them last Friday. They've been tremendous. Now, they had a 4-week layoff to where it kind of lessened the opportunity for us to see some bad things, but I digress. I'm happy with what I've seen. But I was asked by somebody who's not necessarily a Philly fan, they're really not even a basketball fan, but they know how we are as Philly fans, and they said, why does Joel Embiid not really get criticized to the levels of, they even said Carson Wentz because of the injuries, because every year there's an injury or he's not necessarily always reliable. And why is he not ripped to shreds like those? Well, if you watch games like tonight, that's why. Because we will take all of the things that we went through with Joel Embiid and continue to go through, the numerous broken faces, waiting 3 years to even see him, the 100 stomach viruses, all that, right? We put up with it because of things like we saw tonight and things like we saw the last 2 games. Tonight was the perfect example of why, to all the people who say Joel Embiid can't be a leader, we don't see him being a leader, and sometimes I agree. Sometimes he's moping out there. Sometimes he's just there and he kind of blends in. Well, tonight you saw off and on the court how much of a leader he was. Telling DeAnthony Melton in the second to last possession, slow it down, let's eat some clock. Talking to guys on the bench, talking to George Niang with communication out of the timeout. It was tremendous. And I was joking with somebody before I came on. I said, is this what it takes for them to like hustle for a rebound, go for a block, etc.? Because they're missing literally their second, third, and fourth best players tonight. It's actually ironic because this was the grittiest team we've seen out of the Sixers for a while, but just praying that Maxey's okay and, we'll get healthier, very, very quickly here because I don't want to have to deal with George Niang being like the second option of this team because we're not going to win that many games. But just tonight, I'm very impressed with what I saw.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard not to tonight, right? It's you got to lift up some rocks and not be happy with tonight. But they were tremendous. They were tremendous. They played team basketball. And what you just said, I mean, they were gritty and they did the little things that we ask when they're fully healthy to do. Mm-hmm. And those things are important. transition defense, rebounding, second chance opportunities, which I saw us get a little bit. And defensively, this was the best game. I left this guy out of this. I'm sorry. Defensively, this is the best game PJ Tucker's played as a Sixer. I mean, I know the stat sheet looks like he was just running around and he brought nothing to the table, right? But I mean, he played unbelievable defense on Giannis and everybody else he had to match up with tonight. And I'll give you credit. And listen, I get it, Martian. PJ played 32 minutes and produced 0 points. Did you see him defensively? Because, I mean, I get it. I don't think we signed PJ Tucker to hit some threes. Would like to hit a couple corner threes. But besides that, the main reason we go get him is for toughness, right? And for defense. And I thought tonight he played great defense. I don't know his rebounding numbers, but defensively he was good.
PJ Tucker, 4 rebounds.
All right, 4. I mean, maybe a little more. We'll like a few more, but I thought he did a great job defensively, and that's what really matters to me when I look at him. Sweeps?
Yeah, no, absolutely agree. I don't know. I don't know how you couldn't. We're 7-7 coming in, so wins weren't growing on trees. You know what I mean? So I understand. Joe missed some games, and Harden's been out and all that stuff. I know. As early as it is, there hasn't been any signature wins. This is a signature win. I know in 82 games, you say to yourself, it's a long season. You know what I mean? But this could be the turning point for this team, and we'll see. I know they've been playing better basketball, and Joe's been an absolute monster. But maybe this allows this bench to have to play with some confidence. And that's all we've ever asked for, all right? We understand there's only a certain amount of basketballs, all right? But to me, that's a crock of shit. There's a second unit for a reason, all right? And I know that it's not just 5 new guys. It isn't like, a line change in hockey. We don't just change, hey, 5 new guys. I get it. So there's still somebody out there that's running the second unit. I understand that. Right, but in that second unit, then there should be a second option, and there's no reason that a George Niang or a Shake Milton can't be those second options. Running a second team, either leading a second team or being a second option, depending on Doc's rotations. Right, so that's all we've ever asked for. Right, we should have a better bench, and we just haven't had that. It's been the same story for multiple years, and that's why we get so upset. And we're always asking for this and we're asking for that. We don't ask for much. All right, we just ask you to play hard like you did tonight, find a way, and leave it out there. And I thought that's what they did tonight. And that's you lose your second best guy. Right before the half, and you hold your breath, like you said, then it's nothing major. And Toby's out as well, and Ryan alluded to, our three of our top 4 options are out, and you find a way to get this win. So, and Spelling Bee's still really good. He didn't have a great game. Tommy left him out in his best player rant, and rightfully so. We just beat him, so I understand you leaving him out. He's very good. He just
not bad. I did leave him out.
He didn't play well tonight, and still had 25 by accident. You know what I mean? He was atrocious from the line, which nobody mistakes him for Steph Curry from the line. But he just that's a bad loss for them. 15 games in, the 15th game of the year. That's a terrible loss for them. Shame on them. But maybe a springboard game for us, and that's what I'm hoping for.
Real quick, we have an update on Tyrese Maxey via Doc Rivers. He is currently in a walking boot.
Yeah, I mean that's status quo though for an ankle. Mm-hmm. I mean that's just like 101. Maybe we'll have the doc on with a Sunday, but that's just 101 ankle injury precaution, right? Get him in a boot. Get him in a boot, keep it stable.
Yeah.
MRI tomorrow. So, I mean, listen, I don't think it's like something where we're talking about like months here. Like Sweep said, when you roll an ankle in basketball, if it's not playoff time, it's hard. It's hard to play on that. And it's smarter just to get the kid out, right? You get the kid out and you diagnose it and you go from there. But I think he's going to be all right. I do.
Not that this guy is anywhere close to the level of our doc, Dr. Paul Vidal, but there is a Twitter doctor that came in on the comments on Twitter and said, can see Maxey's left ankle go into an inversion. Typically results in a lateral ankle sprain and much less commonly a midfoot injury. So he's saying at most he thinks it's an ankle sprain.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think it's a broken ankle here that we're going to be dealing with. You know, we're dealing with an ankle injury, and sometimes you would rather break it because you might get back quicker. But I mean, he's a young guy too, so you know, young guys rebound a little bit quicker from this. You know, this might be a week. You know what I mean? It could be a week. It could be 2 weeks. You know, I don't think it's longer than a month. I don't think you're going to be not seeing him for a month, but you might not see him for a week, 10 days. I mean, that's sort of what it is. You're going to make sure he's good to go. But once the swelling goes down tomorrow, you know, they'll get the MRI. You just hope it's not ligaments, etc. You just hope it's it's just a common sprain.
Yes, sir.
X-ray came back negative, so you know it's not a break, and then it comes down to, you know, like we talked about, ligaments.
He said, "Put icy hot on."
Put a little icy hot on there. But no, this is a great win. This is a great win. You talked about it. It's 3 in a row. I like where Sleeps' head was at when you're talking about, you know, a springboard game, a game that can really dictate where your season can go from here. You know, I think this is definitely a game that can produce that for this basketball team moving forward. So you just got to continue it. You know, now you got a game tomorrow night. You know, you got Timberwolves coming to town. You're on a back-to-back. You know, that you're obviously a better team than they are, but but that being said, you're banged up too. So, you know, what kind of effort do you have tomorrow on a back-to-back after a huge win? You know, you would hope you would see the same type of basketball team with the same type of energy, and I think you sort of will too, because you're talking about a lot of guys that necessarily aren't star guys. Now, will they produce like they did tonight? I can't answer that, but I think the effort will definitely be there tomorrow when you look at this basketball team. Like I said, the way Joe's playing over the last 3 games, he's the best player in the league, the last 3 games. And I apologize to all the Milwaukee Bucks fans out there, because Giannis is in that conversation, the best player in the world, just like the other names that were mentioned.
Well, he might not just be the best player the last 3 games. He might be of this month, because of this month, he's averaging 38, 11, and 6, Mr. Embiid.
It's absurd. It's absurd. He's always been a point a minute cat his whole life, you know. But I did, and I can't spell for some reason, because every time I post this, it comes out wrong after my 3rd time. But if you want to support, not once, if you want to support HUD, you can send stars on Facebook and super chats on YouTube. I just want to tell the people without dropping a handle.
As impressive as it was, regardless of, you know, whether this was against the Bucks or the Jazz or the Magic, like it would have been an impressive performance with what we were missing regardless. Doesn't matter who the opponent was. But you talk about, again, it is against the Bucks. It is against Giannis. I saw somebody in there say, like, yeah, he did miss 11 free throws. Well, yeah, of course. That's kind of what Giannis is. Like, you'll get a couple where he'll only miss 1 or 2, but that's kind of Giannis's kryptonite, as you know, as we've seen with former Sixers players. So he's not the only one. But showcasing what Embiid did, I'm not saying that this is, like, I don't want to call him the Embiid stopper, but of the last, I would say 2-3 years, the center that I think Embiid has the most difficulty with, especially in the paint, is Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez, and I think this is a big reason why I think coming into this game, the Bucks had beaten the Sixers 7 of their last 8 meetings. Just take out, I know it's tough, but just take out how great Giannis is. The second biggest reason for them beating us that many times in a row is because of Brook Lopez's play on Joel Embiid.
Well, Doris, I'm sorry. Yeah, to your point, Doris, I thought Doris Burke, she does a great job.
Yeah.
You know, if there's any haters out there, you really shouldn't. I think Doris does a tremendous job. She alluded to your point when he was taking it to the hole in a little semi-fast break where he normally steps through, and that's bully ball for him. And Brooke said, no, I'm good with this take this left-handed block. You know what I mean? And, you know, that was just, I thought that was intriguing. You know, I thought that was interesting. And, you know, just to add to your point right there, that it's not, life is it's not easy against them. You know what I mean?
No. I mean, listen, he's had his number versus him, but again tonight he didn't need to do it down low, because what I think, you look what guys work on, through off seasons, and you try to like pinpoint like what do guys work on, like certain guys, right? Like a guy like Joel who's so good at everything. What did he work on? Well, we already know his footwork is sensational in the post, right? And it looks like what he really worked on more than anything, he's been always very good at it. But this year he's elite at it, is that elbow jumper. I mean, that elbow jumper is deadly, because you got to make a decision now. Like, it's not like Giannis. Like Giannis, you're like, go ahead and shoot it, and I'll take it. You make it, it's yours, right? You're just not gonna go dunk on my forehead, and he usually does anyway. But with Joel, you got to make a decision, because down low, even a guy like Brook Lopez, like he knew down low that guy's tough to, a tough hombre, right? And he backed off of it. He was giving it to him, and then in credit to Joel, he was lights out with it again. And Michael Skelton says the elbow jumper is unstoppable. It's like beyond that. It's amazing. It's amazing. And you said, you know what? Guess what Joel worked on this offseason? Well, we see it. He worked on his jumper. And I know, and I'm not calling you out. I just know that you had concerns about him settling a little bit on Friday, and I get it. I get why, because he's so dominant down low. And that was the only reason I was saying to you, not like even arguing with it, because I said if he's struggling there, guess where he has to go? I'll never debate that ever. Yeah,
that's the key right there. It's not that he settles, because I actually like that he sticks that elbow jumper, because that'll make him age better in the next handful of years, because he's getting so much less contact in the paint. It's the second point, which what you said was, when you are, let's say, 1 for 7 going into the second quarter, and 6 of those are from the elbow jumpers, and you're 0 for 6 from that, then it's making the transition to where, okay, now I got to go back to what I used to do. That's my main concern. If you want to hit 27 of those elbow jumpers and not ever have to go down low in the paint and take contact, be my guest. Go for it, because that's how he got all of his points against the Jazz, and there were a lot of points.
Yeah, he has. Andrew says Embiid is becoming more of a complete all-around player, and to your point, Andrew, I think he already was, and now it's just like it's magnified. Like, this guy has gotten better in aspects of his game from day one to now. So now the last thing you need to get better at is being healthy for a full year, right? I mean, that's the last check mark I need to see out of that guy in terms of being that complete player that we assumed when we drafted him.
Yeah. Go ahead, buddy.
Go ahead, Sweeps. No, go ahead, Sweeps.
I was just thinking the same, just along those lines. I just think as both of those guys, just take this game for example, Spelling Bee and JoJo. If they are able to do everything, then they're probably not even allowed to play on Earth. You know what I mean? They're not allowed to play on planet Earth. You know what I mean? So if Joe does go in the block on a daily basis, on like we'd like him to, and still has the capability of the elbow jumper, unstoppable, absolute water, and he goes in there and kills people, he goes for 45 a night. You know what I mean? And I say to myself, well, the basketball gods aren't going to allow that, because then he just can't be stopped. You know what I mean? And same thing with Spelling Bee. Like, Spelling Bee's getting better at his jumper, that Tom alluded to, but once Spelling Bee becomes almost, you say, automatic from the elbow or somewhere else, and then he can get to the hoop at will like he always does, then he's unguardable. You know what I mean? So you're talking about in tonight's game, 2 guys, Spelling Bee, had an off game, but you're talking about 2 guys that's why they have the capabilities of being the best players in the world, because they're unguardable, and they're unguardable right now for what they do. And if they just add those other elements, it's almost unfair. So I think the basketball gods are like, all right, dude, you just keep playing around the perimeter, Joe. You know what I mean? Every once in a while, go to the hoop, I guess. Do your thing.
Yeah, the basketball guys are not going to allow Giannis to shoot 35% from 3, right? They're not going to allow him to be lethal with the elbow, because if he did those 2 things, if he shot like 40% from the elbow, say 32% from 3, that guy's averaging 70 a night.
Everybody else just don't show up. Just literally just watch, empty court it. It's fine.
And that's sort of
never going to stop him.
Yeah, and that's sort of what Joe's doing right now in a way. Like he's beating you everywhere. I mean, it's not like he hasn't beaten guys down low either. So he's done a little bit of everything. And that block on Giannis earlier, I mean, if that's not a Sports Center top 10er, I don't know what is. I don't know what is it. And the fact that Giannis is elite defensively too. So is Joel. I mean, those two for big guys can cover guards. They can switch. They protect the rim like nobody's business. I mean, I think Giannis had one on Joe too, or Lopez did. One of them had one back at him, but it wasn't as good as Joel's. Like Joel went up at the rim and, mano a mano and said, not my house, freaker.
This obviously has like nothing to do with like the win-loss thing. So like this is like more of like a selfish thing I look at as a fan. But I'm really happy Embiid had a night like he did tonight in a win on national television. Because if you like, I don't know if I'm the only one that looks at this, but it seems like every time I see on the schedule, like for example, next Tuesday, when Brooklyn comes to town, it's on TNT. It seems like every damn time we have a TNT game on national television where you've got the talking heads, and listen, they're all-time legends. But you know what Shaq likes to do and Charles likes to do with Joel Embiid's game and kind of pick and choose with what they compliment. Anytime I see that on the schedule, I'm like, oh, there's a clunker. And because every time it is. Every time it's like, oh, this is going to be the time where Embiid showcases how freaking dominant he is for the people that still don't realize it. It's going to be on NBA on TNT, and we, like Martian says, we never win the TNT games. Well, this was primetime ESPN Friday night, so everybody in the country is seeing this. So to do it against Giannis, do it with no disrespect to all the other teammates, but basically a bunch of stuff. I think that was really important for him personally.
For sure. It's important. And I commented on the Facebook side, but Stephen A should never talk basketball again.
His rebuttal was ridiculous.
Like when he's got this agenda with Joel, you're an idiot, dude. You're an idiot. And you should, like, with all due respect, I know you make millions of dollars a year, but it's like, I hate these guys that just want to have this hot take on shit. Like, stop trying to have hot takes. Do you watch the guy play? Like, if you want to be critical about injuries and being healthy, listen, be my guest. But please, the people out there, don't tell me ever that you can't win a championship with this guy. Please just don't ever tell me that ever. That's the dumbest argument in the history of sports. It's hard to win a championship, period. All right, at any level. But don't tell me with a top 5 player in the NBA that you can't win a championship because you got to give him the rock. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? It makes no sense to me. That's just hot take garbage because you really don't watch a play. That'd be like saying, oh, you can't win. If you really can't win with somebody, you would say you can't win with Giannis's game, not Joel's game. And that guy's already won. Like in reality, because he's a different type of big man, right? Where the ball runs through him and he's not a good shooter. And the fact that they won where he couldn't even shoot the basketball shows you how great and talented he is. So if he can do it, don't tell me that Joel Embiid can't win a championship or his style of play or any other bullshit that these talking heads want to tell me that don't watch the game in and out. And even if you just watch highlights alone should punch you in the face and give you a clue.
Well, to your point with the Giannis part of that discussion, that is what they said about Giannis. They are talking about Embiid like they were with Giannis. We're like, oh, that kind of game doesn't translate to playoff and championship, capabilities and all that. That's what they said. They were saying that up until Game 6, 50-point winner, against the Suns in the championship. They were doing that, and then
because right, real quick to your point, like when he does shoot well or well enough, and he's not anemic, like we'll have nights like tonight where he's anemic from the field, right? And that happens to him. But when he shoots just good enough, they don't lose. It's that simple. Right? He's shooting 20% from three-point range, and they've been unstoppable without Chris Middleton too, right? Well,
that's
Drew Holiday.
That's the key. And like for any Bucks fans that are watching, because I don't give a damn about the Bucks, but this is what we've kind of talked about in the past. I know we talked about when we were doing our NBA preview a few months ago, where that was always my main concern. It is still my main concern with the Bucks. It's because like Chris Middleton, I think, is way better than what people like. He still gets ripped apart. Now it's like, oh, they don't really need him. Tonight is the perfect example why you do need him.
Chris Middleton's
sure.
really good, dude. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Whoever says that, that's probably Stephen A. Smith. Then.
Well, I was gonna say there's people on that same show.
Yeah, whoever
Wilbon,
to say that. Yeah, Wilbon. He's another guy who knows nothing. They
Oh,
both.
they told you can never be a second guy.
They both act like they covered the NBA. They cracked me up. They both said that they covered the NBA for 30 years, so that makes them somebody. That just makes you you've had a job for that long. Doesn't tell me you know what the fuck you're talking about. I mean, I can give two shits about what that.
You gave it up blowjobs.
We covered the NBA for 30 years. Yeah, I mean, you're good at puckering up. You're good at puckering up. Congrats to you. Shut the fuck up.
Well, and the other thing too is when you don't have a Chris Middleton who one of his main traits offensively is the perimeter game, Giannis does. I'm not saying he should, but that's why he feels the need to shoot more of the jump shots and three-pointers to take, because somebody's got to fill that role. You're not really getting that from Portis. You expect it. They hope to get that from Allen, but now they're shopping them. You know what I'm saying? Like Drew Holiday can only do so much. They're relying on friggin' Marjan Beauchamp at parts of this game. You know what I mean? Like it's like and Jordan Nwora. And they're good little players, right? But it shows that I don't want to say when you don't have Chris Middleton, their offense becomes predictable because Giannis, when he's on, he can kill you so many different ways. But you see tonight to where it's kind of, all right, Giannis, if you're not killing them in the paint, you've got to hope that this is one of your 1 out of 7 good shooting nights. And it just wasn't.
Yeah. And to Martin's question, yeah, I mean, I guess there is, but about the pressure with the TNT games. And listen, those guys are legends and – they do a great job on air as well. All right. But Chuck never won anything. And I love Chuck. So I'm not sure you want to throw bazookas from that glass house, Chuck. All right. So maybe step back, put the rock down from that glass house. You understand? Chuck, very good player, 1-0. All right. Shaq, one-dimensional, very dominant. Love him. Not gonna shit on him. But let's call that what it was. Let's call that what it is. You know what I mean? Let's get the ball in the shack, 300 plus pounds, bully somebody and dunk on your face. You know what I mean? And maybe developed a little baby J, a baby Hook as the years went by. You know what I mean? And listen, I love Shaq. All right, Hall of Famer. All right, great player. But one night Shaq was out there shooting jumpers, all right, doing all kinds of other stuff. You know what I mean? Shaq was one-dimensional, very dominant. You know what I mean? So I don't want anybody to think, I'm shitting on him. I'm shitting on Shaq. No, I'm just saying those guys are probably critical of him. Shaq especially because of the center position, and probably because of the injuries. Because without the injuries, I don't know what else you could say, about Joel. I don't know where else you could absolutely crush the dude. You know what I mean? And we're hard on him as well because we need him to be. We always say it's the same record. We want to. We're tired of this, and we are. We watched it. So our second round exits they're, and so that we want the story to take a different turn. All right, we want to go. The road's coming to a fork, and we want to go a different way this year. All right, so that's what we do as fans. All right, but at the end of the day, we still, even as critical as we might be on the dude, all right, he's never been our issue. JoJo is not the issue with this team. He's not the issue. All right, if the last get in line, if that's the last thing that we have to line up in our house to get our house right, we'll win a championship. If JoJo's the last piece that we're worried about, we're okay.
Yeah, true.
Oh, absolutely. So let's get into a little bit of shopping Tobias Harris. All right, and that is brought to you by our doc. Make him yours, Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, 2 locations in Burlington and Cherry Hill, New Jersey. He's our doc. Make him yours. SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com is where you can find them. Now, the Sixers, the report comes out today, shopping Tobias Harris. I believe, I could be wrong. What's he got? This year or next year left?
Correct,
right? Okay, good. So knowing he's really got, only 2 years per se, and really 1 if you don't want to count this year, it does give teams more flexibility. I was telling you that you weren't going to be able to trade him last year because there was 3 years left on the deal. But as that deal gets closer to being done, teams look at that as, okay, I can get out of a lot of money on guys that I have that, aren't worth that money that they're paying. So the only thing the only problem is you're going to get back things like Tobias Harris. You would just have to hope that those guys fit better maybe into what you're doing. But the other side of it is, like, I don't know if I need to even trade Tobias Harris, right? Like, I'm not against it. I'm not necessarily for it. I'm just in the middle of it because it's one of them, like, okay, what would I get back for him? And is it really worth it? Because Tobias isn't like a bad player. He just gets this microscope on him because of the money, which is understandable. But I mean, I ain't gonna shit on the guy for taking the deal, right? Or the organization in the situation they were giving him that deal. They were tied. Their hands were tied in that whole process. What I would say is he worth that money? No, of course he's not worth that money. But I can't trade him just because of what he's getting paid. I got to trade him if he doesn't fit here, or if I don't think he brings enough to the table, whatever the case may be. Which I think both are sort of wrong, because he does fit, because he's a guy that doesn't necessarily need the ball in his hands at all times, and he is a very good defender. I mean, we saw that in the playoffs last year. He gave Bam the work for as much as he could. And Bam's obviously a down the low player, and Tobias played right with him. So, again, would I be mad about it? No, but I think Tobias is better than maybe this city thinks he is. And it's one of those, like, I don't know. It's one of those, am I trading him just to trade him? Because I really don't know if that package is going to be good.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say, to your point. Like, I like to know who we dancing with. I like to know where the rumors are and who we dancing with, if this is the case. And if can we get two guys? If if you're going to talk about getting back multiple players, right? Then we're talking. Then we're talking. You know what I mean? If not, if it's just going to be status quo, if it's the same guy and you're just trying to, get him out of here because people don't like him or you don't think he fits, then that's silly to me. You know what I mean? But if it's the right fit and we may be able to get two players, absolutely, I'm for that.
Yeah, guys who can shoot the three maybe better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever the case may be. Like I said, it's all about fit, but I don't want to hear Tobias doesn't fit, because he sort of does in the makeup of what we do, because he isn't a guy that needs to jack 20 shots a night to be able to have an impact on a game. He just isn't,
The only way I would say he doesn't fit as a three. That's the only way I would somewhat disagree with you, which is what he's playing now. To both of your points, I've seen so many people out there, I don't know if it's because of the hatred thing or because of the injuries that we faced even before Tyrese went down, that think that there's a trade imminent. I don't believe that at all, because there's one main factor which makes me think there is no reason why. Well, two main factors.
It's a huge contract.
Well, it's a huge contract that they're going right to the report, and what we've been chasing all summer. There's a man named Kevin Durant out there that you're going to need Tobias Harris's contract if all of a sudden Durant in 2 weeks says, "Hey, I want out." Now, is Daryl Morey somebody who waited all that time to get rid of Ben Simmons, justifiably so, and it looks better now, to get the right price? Is he really going to rush Tobias Harris out of here? Somebody who actually does play. Because once you trade Tobias Harris's contract, you're not getting Durant. You're not getting any, because there's no money. There's no money that you have left to trade out unless you think you're trading Embiid, which you're never doing. So that's one. I think he's going to wait as long as possible to see exactly what this Durant thing is in Brooklyn before he uses that asset, which is all that money, to fill that trade. The second thing is, and Tom, this is like your favorite day of the year because of how many times I referenced it last year. December 15th is right around the corner. And that's when all the contracts come out. That's the infamous December 15th deadline. Daryl's not trading before all those players become available.
No, unless it's something that, it's just that good that he has to deal them, right? And I don't know if that deal's around. But I also I don't disagree with you. Again, I'm in the middle. I don't think he can't play the three. I don't think he's inept of playing the three. Like, he can shoot it good enough. When you look at his numbers at the end of the year, he'll always shoot it decent from three. He's got a good mid-range game. I mean, if you want to say defensively, guys might be a little quicker, maybe. But I don't think he I don't think it's a glaring problem like him playing the 3 and us being successful there necessarily, because you're only playing it. Like there's times he's not playing the 3 too. There is times he's going to be playing the 4 when PJ's not on the floor, different matchups, right? So I mean, it is what it is. Like I'm not saying he's great at the 3. I'd rather see him in the 4 spot for sure. But again, I think he's played both enough in his career that it's not that big of a deal. I still think he can produce from that spot.
Yeah, I don't disagree with a lot of what you said. I just think the main difference and why people get the opinion that he doesn't fit in this offense is because, and we've talked about this before, Tobias has that kind of that old man's game where he does the dribble, lulls you to sleep, and he does the mid-range. There's not enough opportunities when you have an Embiid, Maxey, and Harden in front of him where he's going to be able to do that, which is what he thrives in the most. It's either he's just going to be a spot-up jump shooter or he's going to cut to the basket, and that's really – he's not that guy. Like, I don't want to say he's not that guy anymore. He's not 36. But you know what I'm saying? Like, there are much better guys out there that could fit in that role. But here's the thing. To both of your points, I'm not just trading him to trade him. Like, the most realistic things out there, in my opinion, if you wanted to trade him tomorrow morning, I'll give you 3 options, and none of them really say wow to me, but maybe they will to somebody else. Charlotte Hornets, you trade Tobias Harris and Matisse Thybulle for Gordon Hayward and Kelly Oubre. Does anyone say wow to that?
No.
Next one. This one's a little bit better to me, but I'm much higher on this guy than everybody else. You trade Tobias Harris and Matisse Thybulle in a package where 2 of your biggest assets is, and Martian says it, Harrison Barnes and Rashawn Holmes. I think Harrison is the biggest fit and most realistic fit, but I know that doesn't do a lot for a lot of people, which I understand.
Yeah, we already had Holmes.
And Holmes, and we have 70 centers. We don't need another. We don't need another one.
But no disrespect to either one guy, but Tobias was a way better player than Harrison Barnes. Way better, like overall player in my opinion. So I would say no to that deal too.
And the other one, to the Clippers in a package surrounding Marcus Morris or Luke Kennard, because you're not getting Powell. You're not getting Reggie Jackson. You might get Batum in there. So that's what I'm saying. You're not getting a star in return. You're getting somebody to play your 3 that is, analytically more of a fit, and 2 bench guys, and maybe a second rounder.
And then we go back to what we talked about in the beginning of the year, because I'll take Morris any day, for his toughness, and I like me some Morris.
Mm-hmm.
Now we called for some toughness before the season, and those guys haven't really shown up yet. 15 games in, but I do like me some Morris. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, I think that guy could change the team for you too. But I'm not saying straight up. I would like something else as well.
Averaging the same amount of points as Tobias too this season.
Mm-hmm.
Just under 15.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I do too. The only problem is he's more of a 4. So, it ties up some things there too, because you just went out and spent money on a guy like PJ Tucker, which
nobody wants PJ Tucker, KZ. We feel you, buddy, but nobody wants PJ Tucker.
You can't. Also, KZ, we can't trade him. We just signed him. We can't trade him.
Yeah, I'm not trying to. And in all reality, guys, I know Rye loves a trade machine when the season comes, but I'm not looking to trade guys right now. I'm just not even in that mode, because again, I don't think Tobias is a guy who commands the basketball, who needs the basketball. Being a 4th option and having your 4th option is Tobias Harris, I don't think that's a bad thing to have. I actually think that's a good thing to have. And I think as the season goes on, and now guys are banged up, but the more these guys can play together, I think more is when guys continue to fit in their role. Tobias Harris is a definition of consistency. Year in, year out. He's not a great player, but his numbers are going to be right around the same every year. And averaging 15 with those guys commanding the basketball, I think it's a pretty good thing to have. Is there some more things you can do with it, stock-wise, to make the fit even better? Sure. You can play him with Maxey in a second unit option, right? There's things you can do with him that he can get the basketball and can do what he does well too. So again, any of those names I'm good with. You know, if something bigger comes out, not even a star, but somebody that I think is like, okay, this guy's just as good and he probably fits what we're doing better. Sure. But the one great thing about Tobias, he's unselfish. So, you know, being the fourth option or third option, you need somebody then to come in that's unselfish.
Well, that's what I alluded to earlier. Like, and that's not killing Doc for it. I mean, I'm sure he's tried, but you know, and when guys are healthy, we'll see, you know, as the season goes on, how you know how those rotations shake out. But that's what I was saying earlier. You know, maybe this is the game that this bench either has the confidence or finally just has the green light. I don't know what they're doing, but those guys have to shoot the basketball. They have to be aggressive. And there's no reason, to your point, a guy like Tobias Harris can't run that second unit and then have one of those 2 or 3 secondary guys, you know, do their thing in you know, while the other 2 monsters are catching a breather. You know what I mean? So then you got Toby who can score and get his own, and is a good player. And then you have, you know, a guy like George and Shake, you know, just having free reign and letting the ball go in those minutes, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think over time, you know, as he continues to have these guys and this group that was sort of not only new last year when you got Harden, but new even more this year, because you added 3 other bench pieces or 2 and a starter in PJ, right? You've added things. So I do think that like we were talking about last Friday, I do think things take a minute when you add new pieces because guys sort of got to feel out where they fit in. Guys got to get the chemistry together. And then on the side of the coaching staff, on their job is they got to see like what guys play well with other guys, right? And the only way you have a sample size of that is it happening. You know what I mean? Like, so like we're talking about 15 games in, you know, that's why you need almost 30. Now, that's without injuries, right? To really figure out, okay, if I wrote the bias line in the second unit, who are those guys that play well with him from games in the past? And that's the only way you find out. Like practice is one thing. They don't even practice during the season, essentially. So, you know, listen, I'm excited about this basketball team. And I'm excited about the direction. You know, the one positive thing we can look at before we move on to talking about Tyrese Maxey a little bit is the one thing we can hold on to is before the injury for James, he was playing at a high level. And that's a positive thing moving forward. Like that hamstring looked like a thing of the past, right? And that's very good news. And I think once we saw James here live in person, per se, on a nightly basis, is he's not as much of a pig as I initially thought he was. Not saying he's not a piglet. I'm just saying he's not as much of a pig. He does move the basketball. I mean, the only thing I would prefer him not to do is so much one-on-one stuff, but that's his game. That's what drives him. And if he's shooting like he was shooting at the beginning of the year, go ahead. But you heard Doc and Sam before the season talk to him about, hey, this is a dictatorship here.
Well,
it does start with Joel Embiid, and then it gets to you. And in that video clip, he respected that. You know what I mean? It wasn't no like, well, you know, I'm a top 50 player of all time shit or something like that, right? Like he respects it, and I think he knows. And I'll leave you. Go ahead, Rod. Is he knows this is Joel's team, but again, when you're an elite player per se or elite scorer that he's been his whole career, he also scores a certain type of way too. So.
Well, I think it's to both of your points. And again, as much as I love the trade machine, I think it would be irresponsible to really get into, you know, unless something comes knocking where you can't refuse, you know what I'm saying? Where it's like, oh my God, you're going to give us what for Tobias? Then obviously call me all day. But we shouldn't be getting trade happy in the, you know, the general manager's office for the Sixers right now, because forget of it only being, you know, 15 games. James hasn't played in 6 of them. 6 of them he hasn't played in. So we talk about, okay, Embiid's missed 5 of the 15. James has missed 6 of them. You know, Tyrese is probably going to miss a couple. Tobias has missed a couple. That's what we're talking about. So it didn't look good for the first 4 games when you were getting blown out, and then you got blown out, and then you lost to the Spurs. Like, I get it. It sucked. But let's see what this is supposed to look like. It might end up looking like it sucks, right? Like the James Harden fully fledged Sixers team, we might be saying 30 games from now, like, oh, okay, this sucks. This is not a good idea. But then pull the trigger. This is why the trade deadline's in friggin' February or March, whatever. It's because you got to give it time. So unless there's a big time deal knocking down your door, wait until we see a fully fledged run of what this was supposed to be when we had high expectations before the year. For
sure. All right, talk about a little bit the Tyrese Maxey injury. I know we sort of mentioned it before, but we'll mention it again. It's brought to you by Gleason's Bar, located 6700 Mill Creek Avenue in Levittown, PA. Use promo code A2D for 10% off your dine-in, takeout, or online order. Gleason's Bar and Steaks.com is where you can find them. So go check them out. And like I said, and then you guys go ahead. I'll just reiterate what I already said. This might be a week. This might be 10 days. I don't think it's something where if it's just an ankle sprain where he's out for like a month. So, but it's also basketball and you want to give it time. But I don't think it's anything that we should be like extremely concerned about now. Now we get an MRI back tomorrow that we don't like, then we get concerned all day. But just from the looks of it, just the look of the role. I'm not a doctor. I say a couple Holiday Inn Expresses in my prime, but I think it's nothing major. I'm not going to wood, but I think he's all right, man. I think he's all right. I think everything is just precautionary and what you do when anytime somebody rolls an ankle, and that bitch blows up on you.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say with the Maxey stuff, because there was some kind of situation with Giannis, which I'm looking at after the game.
Oh, he got hurt too?
No. So I'll go to the Giannis thing first. So I got sent a video on Twitter from Dennis. I forget what his out was, but I know it was Dennis.
Hey, Dennis.
Thank you, Dennis, for the video. From the stadium. And it was Giannis after the game. He was practicing his free throws. And it was a quick video, and he missed all 5 of them. So I just thought it was like, oh, he's practicing. He's bricking free throws in an empty arena. But there's a video that came out now where I guess the Sixers employees at the Wells Fargo Center were trying to, get stuff done on the court. And there's a video of Giannis flipping out on the employees, throwing down the ladder. And he's like, I can't just you just got to go over to Twitter and see it. Like he's literally like pushing down the ladder, and he had to get like separated by the employees.
Is it on our A2D Twitter where we can find it?
I will retweet it now. Yes, I will.
I like to take a peekaboo.
I mean, they keep the lights on. I mean, even though he's an away team, they would keep the lights on for several hours. So I don't understand what happened here. That's not like him. But I mean, I'm not disputing the video. I'm just saying, like, it obviously shows that he's, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know why you just wouldn't ask, hey, I'd like to take like another 20 free throws. I mean, families come on the court. The lights aren't going to go off for 2 hours at least. So I don't understand what the issue was,
Yeah, it's, to be honest with you, he would probably be the last person. Again, we don't have the context. We just have video, right? And I can't hear the sound. Not that there would be any sound from this far away on the video, but he would be the last person that I would think that would really get into it with an employee. And I get it. Listen, He missed 11 free throws. He's upset. He just did it on prime time against a Sixers team that was missing their second, third, and fourth best player. But I hope it's nothing. I hope the video is just kind of out of context, because that's not like him at all.
Well, no. I mean, he did throw it. So, I mean, he wasn't happy about it. And I get it. Listen, he had a bad night to his standards. So he's obviously emotional about it, and he's trying to get work in. So, I mean, he didn't necessarily knock it over like crazy, but he definitely pushed it. Like, get this shit out of here. So, I mean, that's funny.
On the Maxey thing real quick, George Niang said post-game that Maxey was smiling and eating popcorn in the locker room after the game. So I think that's a good sign.
Yeah, love me some popcorn. Yep. That's good.
Even though that guy's smiling regardless of anything. So, like, he would be the guy that, like, has, like, an ankle injury but would be, like, just smile and be like, hey, guys. Because he's, like, the happiest guy in the league. Like, when is
he is.
I mean, they could lose by 50, and he's like, oh, on the bright side, guys, we're in the NBA. Like, that's why, like, he's so loved in this city, because it's like he has such a joy with him.
No, he really does. He's the best. I mean, like in terms of being like a great kid. He really is. He brings a lot of energy to this team and to this locker room, and he's got that burst, right? We talked about that. It's so important to have guys that can beat anybody they want off the dribble. So, I just hope that, like Sweep said, I hope Doc learns from this tonight that he does have a good enough bench and some really good players here that can help.
Yeah, to me, I think we established this last year. Unless you were talking about a top 5, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know what you're talking about, but not you guys. I'm just saying, like, trade wise, like to me, Maxey established himself last year as pretty much untouchable to me. What I mean? Unless you were talking about one of those other top 3 guys in the league, and I know we're in win now mode, but like Maxey's untouchable to me. What I mean? And you'd have to really wow me with something. And I know Michael just asked if in a KD trade. What I mean? That's a great question, Mike. What I mean? So right to as I'm speaking that great question by you, and I still wouldn't, just for the age, what I mean? And I just, I'm okay where, I don't want to give up Maxey for KD. No, I do not.
I agree with you. And I want to rip Tyrone Johnson again because I feel like he just doesn't have a feel. He created this best show ever and he's had the worst takes ever. So he says tonight at 10:03 tonight, which is pretty much when the game was coming to an end, Shake isn't killing the Sixers, but he's assaulting them a little right now. Did we watch the same game tonight? I just want to ask people, how do people literally get jobs? This is what we talk about. How do guys get jobs? Because they're kissing somebody's asshole. They're licking somebody's butthole. And that's what's happening. Because we obviously watched a different game when a guy was 6 for 12 from the field, 6 assists, 15 points, 3 boards, right? How is that assaulting a team in 31 minutes of play? That's actually picking up the slack of Tyrese Maxey. So when you combine those two numbers, you're almost, I think you might be over 40. Or you're at 39, maybe. Yeah, 39. So you're at 39 points when you combine those guys' numbers. And he assaulted the Sixers right now. I swear to God, people watch different games. Or they just want to have this hot take, like I know more than you, so I'll say something outlandish. Like, come on, dude. I'm not telling you Shake Milton's an all-star caliber player. But what I'll tell you from the day one Shake Milton got into the big leagues, per se, all right, he's the nothing but able to create his own shot, finish around the basket, and he's a solid bench guy. Solid. He was hurt last year, too, if we forget. He got hurt in Portland when Cass was born. And I remember it, or 2 years ago. That was 2 years ago now. Jesus. But he got hurt last year, too. I know he got hurt in Portland 2 years ago as well. But he got hurt last year, too. And he wasn't the same guy. Remember, he wasn't even supposed to come back, Rye? Like, we had a conversation like, Shake's not even coming back. And then 3 days later, he was back.
Severe back spasms. By the way, I have an Embiid stat, and this somehow
sure it's fun.
This is somehow better than the one the other night after he had 59. Joel Embiid is the first player since blocks became an official stat in 1973/74 season to post 130 plus points, 30 plus rebounds, 20 assists, and 10 plus blocks over a 3-game span. Since November 12th, Embiid is averaging 44.3 points, 10.7 rebounds, 7.3 assists, and 4 blocks per game.
Well, there's the number. I just want to elaborate to the people who say you can't win. All the other numbers in there are sensational, all right? I'll tell you the biggest number I look at, all right? So maybe I should take Tyrone Johnson's job when we're just talking about basketball. It's the 7.5 dimes from a big man. That's the separation. That's the difference maker. All the other stuff is ridiculously good. But when you add in the ability to distribute the basketball, right? When you add that ability into it, when we talk about when he used to get double teamed, that was his biggest issue as a big man, as a player. Was when the double teams came, he became a dog on a hardwood floor and he got in panic mode, right? He got in full panic mode. What you've watched in his progression of his game is that this year it looks like he's a lot less panicky when that double team comes. Never going to tell you that he's not going to turn the basketball over. Never going to tell you he's going to be perfect. But when you look at when the double comes and you can find the open man and you're averaging 7.5 times a night, that is huge because Why do you think Joker won the MVP last year? It's not because his numbers are better than Joe's. It's because of the dimes. It's because of the distribution. That, when you got a big man that can do those things, when you know the double's coming, oh man, how do you stop that, man? And it also is a lot of credit goes to the guys around him for making shots, obviously, right? But we clamored here and we jerked off over 9.5 assists a game from a guy who couldn't shoot and couldn't score, right? So I think as a fan base, we need to put some respect on the fact that he's done better at something else too. This is why you should never get crushed like guys like Carson Wentz or other guys in this city because of injuries. Because every year, though, even though he gets hurt the year before, he comes back better. He somehow has managed to come back better every single year. And I'll wait for somebody to debate me on that. In the chat, somebody wants to get a link to come in. I beg you to come and try to debate me. Forget the injuries. He's gotten better every single year. Every single year. And most guys don't. Most guys take the money and they stay the same, which is still really good, right? But this guy's managed to take the money and get a little bit better in parts of his game yearly. And that's the difference, boys. I don't know how you guys feel about the assists, but I think that the 4 blocks gets me a little wet too. But because I love a great big man who can defend the paint. But the 7 assists are amazing.
Gets me moist.
A little moist in my rear.
Michael, no.
This guy goes up for it.
See, I knew this was coming. Because we as a fan base, and Michael, I love your comment because it's funny, right? But like what we do as a fan base sometimes is we look at stupid shit. And we assume that there's always
a silver lining.
Not even that. Conspiracy. There's always a conspiracy of some sort in a locker room or with teammates. Right? Like, come on, dude. Those guys, if you think Joel Embiid doesn't like Harden, then you haven't watched this from the beginning. You haven't watched their post-game interviews together. Okay? You haven't watched those types of things. Because just in their post-game press conferences when they've done them together, right? Those dudes get along. But you know why? Because the one guy came in and didn't try to be a mother you-know-what alpha dog. The other guy came in knowing whose team this is. And that's why I give James Harden a lot of respect. I do for that. I'm not saying he doesn't get his shots because he has to get his shots, right? Because we need him to score. But he knows whose team this is. So no disrespect, Mike. I know what you're seeing and what you assume you're seeing, but that's not it, man. That's not it.
No, he would be an idiot if he was happy. And that's not saying like James Harden's like the greatest ever, but you need that second option, right? Because again, as great as Joel Embiid is, what's the reason why we always put a lot of pressure on 25 or James Harden or hope Tyrese Maxey would be the next thing? It's because on the nights where Embiid isn't going off for 60, you need somebody to – well, even in the nights Embiid's going off for 60, we almost lost. That's the perfect example. How many years have we been saying their formula to win is give it to Embiid and watch him do stuff? Because that's how great he is, and it's a testament to how awesome he is and how lucky we are to have him. Because if we didn't have him, we'd probably be a lottery team every other friggin' year. But it's that you need guys to help you.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree. I mean, not you. I'm talking about the chat. I just think that's a reach. 15 games in, it's kind of a reach. He was out for a week. He was ill. He was sick for a week. So prior to that, maybe he didn't feel great.
How do you look at your significant others when we love them to death, do anything in the world for them? But when I'm sick, my body language is going to be a little off. I'm just going to help you. My body language is going to be a little bit off. I'm not going to be the same guy. So they're lethargic and stuff like that early on in the year. You can't put 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 here. Like it's completely. This is where the conspiracies come in. It's not real. Like, don't look for things. Now, if they play 40 games together and they have like a beef on the bench, then listen. Then we can start saying stuff. But it wouldn't be the first NBA team where guys have a little beef. None of it would be. It's when you step on the court, can you play together? And those two can. And I talked about it, and I listen, I overreacted to it because of how much I believe in Joel Embiid to be sensational and a dominant big man. But when you pair up a guard who can flat out score it with a dominant big man and they stay healthy together, right, you usually have some success. Now, you need some other guys to help in with that formula for sure. But you have two other guys outside of those two guys that are supposed to help with that formula, and that's Maxey and Tobias, right? So you have the formula here, if healthy, to get to where we want to get to. That doesn't mean they're really Kobe and Shaq. I was just making a Kobe and Shaq comparison because, this is, in terms of dominant, in terms of what have guys done in their careers, this is the only thing we've seen that, like, resembles it in modern day. Like, modern day basketball, this is the only thing that could resemble the production. Maybe you're not going to get the championships, right? But the production. So if those two guys have a playoff run where they're hot, this team won't lose. They won't lose series if those two guys are going. I'm just being honest. Nobody's beating them if Harden and Embiid are going off. Now, Harden's a little more inconsistent than JoJo, and he doesn't have a playoff history of going off. But maybe in the second role, can he have just one? Can he just
that would be a first.
just one. We're not asking for a lot here. Just one.
Everything starts with one. Don, what's up, buddy?
KZ, I'm saying to the people that they're acting like 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. They're thinking it equals 3 or 4 or 5. No, 1 + 1 = 2. When you're sick, okay, your body language will be off. Like I said, watch their pressers. I don't want to keep reiterating. Watch their pressers. Go back. There's plenty on YouTube after the show. Go watch them and tell me they have. Joe doesn't like Harden. I told you, if Harden came in and acted like this was his goddamn basketball team, then that question is absolutely something to have a conversation about. But if you think Daryl Morey or Doc Rivers, they had to make the move. But if you think they were making a move for a guy that they didn't believe could come in and actually say, you know, at this point in my age, I just want to win. I don't care what field I am.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and listen, before you might see it after it's all said and done and after they're retired, as you're seeing it with Jelly Pants, Scottie Pippen. Jelly Pants, Jelly Pants, Jelly Pants. All right. Why don't you write another book, Jelly Pants? All right. We know you're a great player. All right. It came full circle. You're Jelly Pants. All right. So you might see it after you're retired. And if somebody writes a book and they don't win anything, then they just say, my 5 years with Harden. Well, that guy was, that guy was selfish. He liked to wear nice velour jumpsuits. He didn't really care about winning. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. You might hear that. So you're not going to hear it now, of course, because he wants to win. He wants to win. And I'm not saying James doesn't. You know what I mean? I'm sure he wants to win too. You know what I mean? There's nothing worse that tarnishes your career. All right, when you're considered a loser or a guy that never won, aka Chuck. I mean, Chuck's made a good living out of it. And Chuck's been a great player. But that haunts Chuck. That haunts Chuck's. You know what I mean? That haunts you, buddy. You're on a panel with winners. All right, Ernie Johnson, winner in life. Right? Shaq, winner. All right? Kenny the Jet, winner. Then you got Chuck. Can't even win at the blackjack table. Love you, Chucks. But very big time loser, Chucks. Big time loser.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Like, when you look at Harden, if you think he doesn't want to win at this point in his career, I think you're crazy. Like, I think the chat's crazy. I think these guys are bought in. They know what the goal is. And listen, I didn't even think last year would have went differently. I say if Joel was healthy. And that's not a what if. It's just what if. I'm not telling you we're winning the NBA Finals. But now you get a healthy Joel and a healthy Harden in the playoffs, and those guys are full go. Like, Harden's not 38. You know what I mean? He's not 38. He's always had a slow man's game anyway. So I never had a problem with the age. I got a problem with the injury. So how can he come back from the hamstring at this age? And he came back looking great. I mean, listen, how many times last year did Harden cross somebody up and their jocks laying there? Right? He done that a couple times this year. A couple times already this year. Where guys were like, he never did the shimmy after the miss, and then he started making them. So he learned from the shimmy mistake. But at the end of the day, that's the James Harden we know that can cross you up in a heartbeat and leave your pants laying there. And if that James Harden's healthy and this Joel Embiid's healthy, I mean, the Eastern Conference is really tough. But I'd be really scared if those two guys are going in a series because I think they're really tough to beat then. But, will I say that our defense takes a loss on them being here? Sure. Our transition defense, for sure. But that's really what it mostly affects. Like people are like, oh, it affects your transition offense. Not really. Not when Tyrese is out there too, because James is always looking up court to get it to somebody. You know what I mean? It's not like he's not. Not saying he doesn't slow it down, but if you watch him, there's enough times where he does try getting the basketball moving.
People dissect transition offense and defense way too much, and they put it on player. It's literally the definition of effort. Why? Like we talk about effort plays and why they suck when we talk about the Sixers for so many years. That's why they suck on transition offense and defense. It's because the effort needs to translate to something, and it's not transitioning or going to that either. Like that's literally all it is. It's getting back on defense and pushing forward to beat out the effort of the whoever you're facing in that given night. That's it. That's it. It's not about Harden or Joel's. Like I've heard Joel contradicts your transition offense. Really? Because I've seen him outrun some guards. I've seen him outrun some guards when he's 20 pounds overweight. So it's not him.
No, it's not at all. And Casey, it's a good point. I mean, he says I do like the fact that Harden was pulling up for that open mid-range jumper, something he hasn't done a lot of in his career. And I know from just seeing stuff and reading stuff and all over the place that was a point of emphasis for him this offseason. So I do like that. I do like when guys. I'm a big fan of when guys buy in and try to fix and work on their game. I'm always going to be a fan of that. Because, this is why I had a different respect for Reese Hoskins this year. Because I saw him over the winter doing an exact drill that if I was Kevin Long, I'd be having him do. Right? Like, he was – and Sweeps will appreciate this. I mean, Reese's biggest issue is opening up. Right? So he was doing two good drills. One was, obviously, he crosses his legs up a little bit. Right? And shoulders just stays on the baseball, and he drives everything away. So he never opens up on anything. And then he was doing some good side toss too, where you're forced to take a ball, cross your chest, and take it the other way. And when I saw that, not saying that he wasn't working on it if I didn't see it, but it gives you some respect for a guy where you say, "Hey, you really struggle with something. I can see it on TV." So are you working on that in the off season? Right? And he was. Now, I don't know how many days, but if you're doing it once, I assume you're doing it plenty and it's a point of emphasis. I'll always respect the guy and give him the benefit of the doubt throughout a year. Now, if he's dog shit, absolutely not. But I'll give you the benefit of the year that I know you try to work on those things. And guess what? I think his offensive production showed that this year for sure. For sure.
The thing with James Harden, he hasn't really done it since he was with OKC because – the reason why, and this is why he got killed in the postseason, Harden did, because instead of pulling up for mid-range, he would go up and try and do that layup and one, but he would just get smothered and he wouldn't be able to, he would end up being a lot of jump balls because he wouldn't be able to get to the rim. Now it's a situation where he's pulling up. He's not necessarily getting as much fouls, but he's getting a lot more, he's getting a lot more points, which is good. Because that's the biggest thing with Harden. It's that, listen, when you have that explosiveness, you can get away with, trying to bait people for fouls. And I think he still does that a little too much with his threes, to where I think a lot of the ones he's missing, it's because he's trying to lean into guys a little bit and bait for the 4-point play. But it's like, James, what's a lot better than the 4-point play every 6 times? It's some extra 3-point plays. Because it seems like if you're not getting the 4-point play, you're not getting any points out of it. It's getting a lot of empty possessions.
Yeah, and he'll always have his empties. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you're always going to take the good with the bad with him, right? And that's it. But
that just comes with volume.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is, if he's the second guy or the third guy on a night, right? I think we're in really good shape. Not saying that we're better than Boston. Not saying we're better than Milwaukee. I'm not even saying that stuff. I'm just saying that we're really good. And you see how it plays out in the postseason. And you pray that a guy becomes the second fiddle for another year. And he like I said, if those two guys play to their capabilities in the postseason, we're a tough out.
Fam, if you have any other overall NBA questions, now's the time before we get out of here. But Don says, what big name NBA player can you see getting dealt before the deadline?
Well, I mean, I think it's easy, right? I think it's really easy.
Eastern or Western Conference?
Oh,
it's KD.
Yeah.
That's like a yeah.
I mean, what big name can you all see getting traded? I mean, that's the big name. He's not traded. You know what I mean? It's not like he's been traded and we're saying it. Like, just because there's smoke in terms of the trade deadline and people get moved doesn't mean it necessarily happens either, right? So just because they're talking about dealing him or he might want out doesn't mean they get a deal done either. You know, it's not, nothing's guaranteed.
Yeah, and they might change course. I mean, we know he's been unhappy the whole time. Simmons has shown proof of life the last 2 games.
True.
If that means anything to Nets personnel and people that are making decisions there, and obviously, Kyrie's coming back, which whatever that means, I'm sure he'll get. I'm sure he'll miss another 10 games. For something. He just
they love each other.
Yeah,
they love each other.
Yeah, I don't think he even likes basketball. So
no, but he loves KD's lap.
Oh yeah.
Love KD's lap. Big fan of the lap. Big fan. But you're right about Ben. I mean, Ben in the fourth quarter last night was on Dame, and Dame did not score in the fourth quarter. So, I mean, I'll give credit where it's due. I mean, that's what we know you do. So that's what essentially they traded you to be that guy who rebounds and plays elite defense. That's what they traded you for. And if you do that, they're better. If he doesn't, they're good. That's not. You know what I mean? They're good.
That was my answer to. Ryan's question last Friday was, the most unexpected or the most, surprising thing so far was, we know what he can do, but we just expected him to leave and be awesome there. That was just, because, we can't have nice things, so we just expected that, Harden be hurt and then Simmons is an all-star, so we just figured that was coming, but
you watch. He'll go off for 25, 11, and 10 on Tuesday in Philly, and that'll be on headlines everywhere. You watch. And then in Tuesday. That's his big reunion game. What she's saying, according to Marsh, and Ben is saying he's gearing up for Tuesday's game. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sure that'll age well. I hope it doesn't age well.
I mean, listen, good for him if he comes out and plays tough and shows people that he actually has something between his legs. But I'll beg to differ him talking shit. Like, I mean, if I was Ben, I wouldn't say a peep, because you were traded because of you. So don't make this about us. Like, you forced yourself out of here.
That's the only reason I would disagree. Because it's a constant fuck you to Ben Simmons because he created this situation. I don't really care what anybody says. You know what I mean? Like, if the mental part was there, and if there was any truth to that, and everybody would have supported him. But we see that when you can't dunk a basketball, it's because you sit when you pee. You know what I mean? You're, we already knew that. All right. So then, it went from being a Ken doll to having using that mental crutch that a lot of people suffer from in this country. You know what I mean? And that's what was despicable, and that's what we called him out for last year. Tom was very adamant about it, and we all were. You know what I mean? So, so I will always, fuck him, and more fuck him. You know what I mean? He's bum Simmons, and he always will be.
Yeah, I love a good comeback story. I'll leave him out of that though. And I'm not like I'm rooting for anything bad to happen to him. No, absolutely not. You'll just never see me smile when something slightly good happens to that guy on a basketball court. Don, I'll give you 3, okay? Since we gave you the Durant one. I'll give you 2 easy ones, and I'll give you a crazy one. John Collins, I'll give you I could honestly say Capella 2 on the Hawks, but I won't count him. I'll give you Ayton on the Suns once that January date hits. And then the crazy one, I'll say Klay Thompson. And what scares me to death is that the Klay Thompson one somehow involves the Sixers, which, talk about a trade I don't want to happen. Daryl, don't do that.
What?
I love Klay Thompson. You talking about Maxey?
Like a Maxey and Tobias for Klay?
Yeah, I don't. I definitely don't want. I told you, I think Maxey's to me is untouchable, but love me some Klay Thompson. shit.
If it's like Tobias and Dye before Clay and Kuminga, like sure,
Listen,
I'll play
it's
that
a hard
game.
one. It's a hard one to say no to.
Yep.
For
But
sure.
No Maxey for sure.
No Maxey. Maxey. Now, what else am I getting back then? Because if I'm out of Maxey and Tobias for Clay, I assume there's something else coming back for me
You're probably getting Moody and I don't want to say Moody and Kuminga, but you're getting Moody and maybe one other player. I just Klay Thompson's, if he's 2018 Klay Thompson, I'll take it. But the guy can't shoot and he can't play defense anymore. And like you getting rid of your third and fourth best player. Tyrese is sometimes your second best player when Harden is or isn't there. And now your third option is Klay Thompson, who can't play defense anymore and is a good shooter like 1 out of every 6 games.
Yeah, I think he's better than you're giving him credit for a little bit.
I was just gonna say.
But I hear you. He might be struggling this year, but he did. On his comeback tour last year, I thought he played well. He doesn't. Obviously, when Jordan Poole got more involved in this offense, it took away. It took away the basketball in his hands, obviously a little bit more. But he's still tremendous. I would think him in a heartbeat. I'm just not like I'm with sweeps. Like there isn't a deal out there where you're getting Tyrese Maxey. So it's just that simple. Like there just isn't. Like if we're saying no to KD, we're saying no to a freaking Hall of Famer and Klay Thompson too. Obviously not at KD's level, but I mean the only guy that I'm probably saying yes to, and it's unrealistic. The most unrealistic thing you guys could ever say would be Steph Curry. That's the only guy, or Luka. I get Luka, I get Steph. Right now I'm buying in. Right, but the rest of the guys, I'm not as high on. Like he's tremendous, but KD's older, and not that Steph isn't, but Steph's game won't age because Steph just strokes you. Right, and the other side of it is the other guy is a puppy, and maybe the best player in the league too, and Luka. So they're the only guys that you're like, okay, all right, I can do that.
I'm not being prisoner of the moment because I've been talking about this guy for 4 years. You really wouldn't include SGA in that conversation?
No, because he doesn't shoot the three like Tyrese does, and that's the only reason. I need a guy who can stretch it. He doesn't shoot the three well enough. He's phenomenal with the mid-range and getting to the basket, and he's awesome. But I don't know if he's like. Remember, you put Tyrese as the lead dog somewhere. He's probably putting up the same numbers. If Tyrese Maxey's your lead dog, he's probably averaging 24 a night. Right? I don't think we can disagree with that, can we?
What was the question? Sorry, I was looking for SGA's 3-point numbers. I think it's actually as good as
Maxey. He's 40%. He's 40%. Yeah. I mean, he's obviously killing it. Like Tom said, I think that's the biggest rebuttal is
he's a 6'6" Tyrese Maxey.
I don't think anybody's debating the talent of either one of those young men.
No,
what I mean?
Not at all.
But when you're playing when you're playing in Tomato Can Central, somebody has to be the dude. All right. And that's not a shot at SGA. You know what I mean? But you're in Oklahoma City. Like, you better do something. You know what I mean? And I know it'll translate. I'd love to have him. You know what I mean? Not for Maxey. Yeah,
it's not a shot at him, right? Like I know that's your guy, and me saying I didn't think he'd shoot the three well because I saw something posted about his like mid-range game. And like the other night, like he did everything from like the mid range, and I was like, wow, that's pretty remarkable. Like that's almost like a Monte Ellis type night where he wasn't even shooting the three. So I just assumed maybe he wasn't shooting well. But the guy's he's also missed so much time too.
Right? See, that's where I'll disagree with you. That's friggin' the GM over there. They don't let him play. That's exactly what they're doing with Chet. Like anything like this is
but he's still hurt. He still gets hurt, and then they don't let him play. There's a different story though. It's a different conversation. If you're getting hurt every year, and then the team's just like, we're tanking again. Come have a seat, right? You're still getting hurt though, even though the team's adding on to that, which I agree with you with, right? Fully, but you're still getting hurt every year. Where this is like, we knock on wood. This is Tyrese's first like, oh shit, is he going to miss some major time? A little bit, right? I mean, this is his first one.
I just look at it to where, because we lived it for 5 years. So, like, unfortunately, we know what goes on with these situations. They are the kings of turning a turned ankle into a 2-month hiatus for their star players because they want the next Chet or Wembanyama. That's just what they do over there. To where, and again, we did it in Philly for years. I just look at it, and again, I don't think there's necessarily a really wrong answer. I'm just probably the highest guy in the history of the planet on SGA because I was talking about him ever since he was with the Clippers when he was just a nothing guy. That this is an opportunity to get a 6'6" version of Tyrese Maxey before you have to extend Maxey.
My rebuttal back to you though is you're going to have to extend SGA. I don't know what his contract is.
No, you have him for another 6 years. He just got extended.
Okay, well, 6 years what?
I don't think it's the. Hold on, I'll tell you.
Because Maxey, you're going to probably pay the same money to. My question back to you is, and Sweep sort of said it too, and I said it sort of right before that as well, is that you put Maxey there, what's his numbers look like? Because I'm going to tell you, they're just as good, if not better. Like, obviously, SGA, like Sweep said, I would love to have him. I'll take him in a heartbeat. But Tyrese is untouchable. Like I said, the only guy, like the only real guy that like I'm definitely pulling the trigger on in a Maxey deal would be Luka. Yeah, that's the only guy that I'm like, yep, done. See ya. When you talk about a young player, that's fucking unbelievable. And I'm not comparing Tyrese to Luka. I'm just saying like that's a guy who's better than him. And
but I mean, if you were talking about, sorry, but I'm sorry.
No, that's it. I'll just keep going.
I'm just with him. Like I said, if you're talking about Toby and Matisse and then a couple first rounders, absolutely, giddy up. We know the Thunder collect first rounders like Skittles.
They have a lot.
So giddy up. I mean, I'm with you, Ryan. I love the player. I'm just not. I can't part with. I just can't part with Maxey. If we're trying to build it, if we're trying to, we're trying to get younger. You know what I mean? Like Harden's on his way out. Like this window is closing. You know what I mean? This window is closing. So if we can get younger, all right, and get Joe a couple, that foundation of the younger pieces. You know what I mean? And I don't care what. What Harden has left, contract wise. I'm just saying we know he's long in the tooth. You know what I mean? The injuries are just piling up. You know what I mean? So hopefully this one isn't, is devastating and he comes back and he is able to play as well as he started the season. You know what I mean? But I'm not going young for young. You know what I mean? I need to dump a contract, and which I'm not saying they would do that. I'm just saying if they want, they want 2 NBA guys and they want 2 first rounders, giddy up. You know what I mean? I don't need to pick in a draft anymore if you're going to give me SGA.
You asked what he's making, Tom. He's making $7 million less than Tobias Harris. SGA.
What, like this year?
Mm-hmm. And
so what is that? What is that?
So he's making 30, which is $7 million less. Then he's making 33, 35, 38, 40. So the only
so he has a monster deal too then, essentially.
No, that's a disc for a max money guy. That's a discount. That's
no, I got you, but you're not maxing. You're not gonna have to max Tyrese Maxey yet. I don't think you're gonna have to max him yet. I think he's borderline. He's borderline max. Like SGA, he's almost at the same type of deal. Like essentially, he'll probably get a little more because money always goes up in the NBA. Obviously, right? He'll probably get a little bit more when that time comes. But he's right around those numbers when the time's right. Like he's right. He might be a little bit more, obviously. Like I said, maybe $3-4 million more because the cap will go up. I just don't know if he's officially a max guy yet.
It's probably a little bit more than the De'Aaron Fox contract because I know that was a max. I got to look at his numbers though.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't want anybody to get it twisted. Like this SJ is awesome. He's awesome. Maxey does it with. Maxey has shown over the last year that he's done it with other pieces around him. Other superstars, and he's still got his, right? When you're the only dude in town, you got to eat, you know what I mean, to survive. And I'm not saying that's a shot at SGA. It's not saying it won't translate to other teams. But when you're the only guy in town, right, you gotta pull a Joey Chestnut and you got to eat 100 fucking hot dogs. You're the dude, you know what I mean? Like, ain't nobody else eating in Thunderland. And that's not a shot at Ryan and anybody else. Ain't nobody else eating there, dude. You got to eat.
I disagree with you, though, Sweeps.
Okay,
because there's 2 guys that people would argue are better. One guy, he hasn't played yet. The other one is Giddey. And again, I'm not saying Josh Giddey's like freaking Michael Jordan. But this isn't – I'm not saying you're underselling the Thunder because who are the Thunder? They're like the 10th seed in the West, right? So I'm not saying they're like awesome. But this isn't like the last couple years where it was SGA – and friggin' Mike Muscala as the, I need Mike Muscala to give me 25.
Yeah, but it still is though, because Josh Giddey is a good young player, but he doesn't have like a guy who's going to do what he does yet. So like, you know what I mean? He's not the second option on a team. He's not the third option on a team. He's a numero uno. He's the guy there, which is not a shot at him. He's the guy because he's the guy. Problem is they still aren't good. When Chet plays and everything else is there, and sure, and he has more pieces around him, right? But he's still going to be alpha dog number one. So like, it's not a shot. Maybe he could probably come here, fit in, and be sensational. But there's always a chance is like some guys just aren't saying they're not great players, but they're not second or third type players. They never fit into that. He might fit into that perfectly fine. I have no crystal ball, but what I do know is exactly what Slee's saying. When you're the only main guy, when you're the dog, you're gonna chew things up. The difference is when you say, okay, Luka doesn't have many things around him. Well, Luka wins. So not only does he chew you up, he wins. So not that SGA's had that opportunity to win yet, but here you go. Be healthy for a year. If you go win, right now, you don't have to win at Luka level, but if you go make yourself a playoff team, not a playing game, a playoff team, a top 8 seed or whatever it is, right? Then guess what? Then now you're at the level of a carrier, right? And he hasn't had the chance to prove that yet, right? Rightfully, obviously, because of the organization, injuries, etc. But hey, go be healthy for a year and carry them, right? And then that will even show that you're not only a damn good player, you're a great player. And that's the only thing missing in my judgment of him, because my eye test and numbers speak to that dude's good, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's not that. It's not that SGA is a stud. It's that I got a guy here that's good too, but can play, that doesn't have to be the main option for him to fit in and put his fingerprints on stuff. Again, leave it at that. Not that SGA couldn't. Like, not a shot. I want to be clear. It's a great conversation, though.
Of course, we don't know that, and that's not a shot, right? I mean, I think you're grasping at straws if Josh Giddey's your guy that you're throwing out there. You know what I mean? Like, he's a good player. I mean, I know. Somebody else once again has to score. So we know SGA is not going to score 100. So somebody else has to fill it up. I mean, Josh Giddey's like 30% from three. He's not, he's obviously not a sharpshooter. All right, but he's a good little player. He's a good solid little player. So, I still think you would agree that SGA is the only hot sauce in town. Yeah, he's the only hot sauce in town.
No. I was just saying because I saw something, not necessarily to you, but oh my God, SGA's out there playing with what was the thing that Reddick said about one of the older players like years ago? Like you're playing with a bunch of store clerks. Like anybody who thinks that, not that you said that, Sweeps, is wrong. You know what I'm saying? A couple years ago, he was playing with store clerks. He was playing with us three and Ralphie. Ralphie playing power forward. It's not necessarily that anymore. But no, again, I think it's all based off of preference. We look at the projection of what Maxey's been both after year one to now, obviously, year three. And we look at SGA to where it's like, hey, can that translate into winning basketball? And as much as I do think the health thing is drastically because of the organization, he is also going down with, 50-year-old ankles. So you have to get injured for the organization to be like, let's give you a month. Let's give you a month. You have to go down and cause the organization to do that first.
Yeah, but my point is, I'm okay with that. I just don't want to part ways with Maxey. So I'm okay selling the farm. I'm okay pulling a Herschel Walker, Vikings Cowboys deal. All right, just don't include Maxey. You know what I mean? Like we can give him 5 guys and 3 picks. You know what I mean? If we want to be outrageous, let's go.
Yeah, my roster,
it just can't be Maxey for me. You know what I mean? But
my roster's open.
Love to have him.
Yeah, my roster's open for anybody but Maxey and Joel. You know what I mean? Like my roster's wide open. So in terms of like if we were making deals. But those 2 guys just can't go because those 2 guys can win down the stretch together too. Like, if they don't win this year, Maxey's going to get better too. And Joel's proven to get better. And it's not like Joel's 40. So, I mean, that window isn't gigantic, but the window for them two is a little bit longer for sure. that window for those two players is definitely a little bit longer than it is obviously for like Joel and Harden per se.
And just for the record, for anybody just joining, you're probably thinking like, why are we talking about trading Maxey? We were talking about what's the level of player that you'd be like, oh, well, I have to do it. And some people's floor was, Tom, I think your floor was Luka. Like that was you got to do it. And mine was SGA. So we were just talking about that. If anyone's like, wait, is he injured? Was he traded? Like, no, we were just talking about what would be the line that would make us be like, okay, we have to send them.
Yeah, and it's just as simple as like Luka, because Luka's going to come here and Luka's going to do Luka things, and we're going to be pretty good. So Joe can sit down a couple of nights if he just wants to get the legs a breather, and Luka will go drop 50, and we're Gucci. So obviously the one guy hasn't gotten to that point yet, but the dude we have here, and this is what I think we get into a little bit as a fan base. We got a young stud on our hands here. Who's a worker. We know the type of kid he is. Right? When we talk about trading him, we don't know necessarily the type of dog we're going to get back. And the only time you know that is a guy like Luka, right? You know it's a dog and a young guy you're getting back. Everybody else, we don't know how hard of a worker they are. The little things that we know about Tyrese Maxey. And I think that's the reason, because of the play on the court, the work ethic, is why guys like me and Sweeps, our ceiling to trade him has to be like a top 8 player in the league, a top 10 player in the league. Just because we all see the progression, not that you don't, right? You know what I'm saying? Like we all see the progression of him, and I think that's what makes it hard for us to be like, would I trade him? Because most people come in this chat and say, you want to trade him for KD, Tom? You're an idiot. And I'll say, no, I would not. Right? Like, he's 35 years old or whatever, however old he is, I feel like now, and there's been injuries and whatever. I don't know. He even is 35.
No, but you're right. And we've seen the KD Harden thing not work. So no thanks. I'm okay with that. I'm okay. Just, keep it driving. I'm good to just keep driving. KD's he's phenomenal. But we've seen that failure before in 2 other places. So I'm good.
You know what guy I would trade him for, though, that isn't on the Luka level, that I would absolutely have to have the conversation about?
East or West?
West.
Edwards?
No.
Ingram?
No.
Booker?
No. It's a player you wouldn't think of.
Go ahead. Tell me.
Sweeps, you got an idea? You got an idea?
I'll name 50 players and I won't get it.
Maxey for...
Young guy. That's why I would consider it.
Like just drafted young guy?
No, not just drafted, but plays around guys that are really good. So he's not numero.
Oh, Ja? Oh no, not Ja.
No, Ja's the dog there.
Yeah, Ja's the man.
It's in the West. He's a stud. He just got
he's around guys that are really good?
Yeah.
Jordan Poole?
Yep. I'm not saying I do it. I say I really think about it. I have a conversation because that dude takes the whole country off the dribble. He can get to wherever he wants to get to. He shoots the 3 well. He's unbelievable around the basket finishing, and he's not the main guy there, which tells me, okay, then you could fit in here. I'm not making that move. I'm just telling you that's another young guy like that is in the SGA range, not in the Luka range.
I think
he's in the SGA range.
And he just hit a monster 3 right there on cue for you. And I love me some Jordan Poole, but I think that's if you're going to do that, then it's SGA all day. SGA.
Oh no, I'm not telling you it's not SGA or Jordan Poole. I'm just throwing another name in the hat that like you could have a conversation. Like, right, we would have it. Like, if I'm the executive of basketball operations and you go off of me SGA, guess what? Me as an organization of my guys, we're going to sit down and talk about it. So it's not like I'm hanging up the phone on you. Right? If you call me about Luka, I don't even got to talk to nobody. Right? If you call me about Jordan Poole, I got to get like 100 guys in. I got to get scouts from all around the country. You know what I mean? So the point is he's not at the level of SGA or obviously Luka, who's above him. It's just or Maxey, but he's fucking really good. He's fucking really good.
Yeah,
he's another guy who's gotten better through the years.
I really like Jordan Poole, but I'll pull what Sweep said with SGA. Tobias and Thibault and some stuff, sure. If they're asking for Maxey, I'm hanging up the phone. Like, I don't even think about it.
Well, I also think I'm not just getting Jordan Poole. So, I look at it two ways too there. Like, that's not a 1-for-1. I got some ideas.
Well, you're gonna resurrect James Wiseman?
No. I don't need another big man. What I'm gonna do? Listen, this is the deal. This is a tough one to say no to, right? Tobias Harris, Tyrese Maxey for Klay Thompson and Jordan Poole. You don't think about that?
Hold on, let me see if the money.
Two
shows in, you've turned into me.
I'm probably not doing it. I want the people to be clear here. I'm probably not doing it. It's just two players that I say, they won a little bit. Do like winners. People are going to say hell no to that, and I laugh at you say hell no. I think Don's right. The Warriors might hang up on you.
Well, for starters, it's not possible. Second of all, no. It's interesting. Well, it's $66 million in cash to $39 million in cash.
Everything's possible. There's some other things. There's more
what
money.
Else are we getting? We getting Draymond?
No,
we need $30 extra million.
I'm just saying, it's just conversations. We're just having fun with it. You know what I mean? Like options. But in reality, like I said, I'm totally good with what I have, unless it's for Luka.
Yeah, I was going to say. I'm
just having fun.
I think Jordan Poole's a good player, but no, thank you. I hang the phone up very quickly.
I just don't think I have the dribble. I saw him take two guys off the dribble tonight, just peekabooing up at the TV, and both of them were pretty fucking filthy. And I was like,
I put him on the same level as like Tyler Hero. You know what I'm saying? He's the Western Conference Tyler Hero to me.
Yeah, I think he's almost better than Tyler Hero though.
Don.
But the similarities are there.
So let me give it just rapid fire real quick. So, all right, because I want to see if there's anybody below Luka that you would be like, for Maxey. And I know it would be like Maxey.
I don't want to trade him though. I don't want to keep doing it.
No. But we're already in the rabbit hole.
No, I don't want to be in the rabbit hole. Like I enjoy this.
You're in it.
You're stuck. You're
eating the carrot. You already ate the fucking carrot, buddy.
Ryan does this shit all the time. He does it all the time. He's like NBA 2K. He would trade. He would make moves every year. He would never have a team. I
agree with you, but you ate the carrot. So, you either end show or you allow this man to ask one more question.
Yes. Just let me be Ken Rosenthal for 2 seconds here.
Okay, Kenny, go ahead.
So, Jason Tatum.
For who, Maxey?
Yes.
Yeah, where do I drive him to?
Okay.
Yeah.
Because he's technically lower than Luka. He's technically lower.
Yeah, he's right there, but yeah.
Let's see here. LeBron.
We should have had Tatum anyway. No, thanks.
No, I'm good. Okay.
Ralphie's throwing things to the TV after you heard that. Let's see. Ja.
Yep. Giddy up. Fuck yeah.
Drive him over.
Let me just tell you for 2 seconds, I thought you were going to say Morant after saying yes to Poole. There were two. I saw like a look in your eye. I'm like, oh my god.
No, I did not say yes. I didn't. I want to clarify this again. I did not say yes to Poole. I just said that's a thing I'd have to sit on. Just for I would have to sit on for 35 seconds to a minute. I'm not hanging up on you. I'm just I'm saying, hold on a second. And I'm thinking, and then I'm getting my bearings again, and I'm saying, okay, no. You know what I mean? That's all. It's one of those.
You're sitting on, and you're like, oh man, that was sharp, and you got off.
Like a tweet comes out. A tweet comes out from a guy like Ken Rosenthal after he gets wind of that conversation, and he'll say the Sixers and Tom Arnone are thinking about it. When it really we weren't thinking about it. We thought about it for 35 seconds, and we said, "Now we're good. We appreciate you calling."
So they're like what I saw with Matisse Thybulle earlier. They're in preliminary discussion.
Don, shut the.
Devin Booker.
Beep, beep, beep.
Devin Booker.
Hard to say no to. Hard to say no to. Yeah.
I hate the baggage. I hate the Kardashian baggage, but
yeah, you can do without her. Could do without her, but could use
leave that twatzilla at the fucking door. But I'm,
she don't want to come Philly.
Like the talent.
Donovan Mitchell.
No.
Very good player.
This is old school. This is like
Dame,
2020.
I'm good now. Good now.
Dame time. I feel like he's getting a little banged up, but I love me some Dame.
I do, but I got to take Tyrese there. I feel like.
I agree. Trae Young.
No.
Shit. I do like me some Trey, but no. I agree with Sweeps. Can't do it.
Guy's wearing a fucking wig. I can't do it. Guy's wearing a fucking wig.
Sweeps, to your point, I might take Jordan Poole over Trae Young. That's where I'm like, oh, Jordan, you come on, is that still up there? Is that still available?
Oh my God, you see the movie just made? Oh.
I'll see in a second. I wonder why. YouTube doesn't have live sports. I'll give you two more. Anthony Edwards.
No, I don't know.
No.
Probably about 40 tomorrow night now. I said that. He'll drop 40. You can book that. I'll have a great game tomorrow night.
I'm good.
I'll give you two more. I lied. Paolo Banchero.
Probably. I had a conversation about it.
Bye, Maxey.
That's like a 2-minute. I don't know though. It's tough. It's tough. That's a tough one because now you're banking on the upside. He looks really good. But
mini freak. He looks like mini Giannis. He looks like mini Giannis. Yeah,
he's a really good basketball player. I think we all thought that it was a reach by Houston. Houston didn't want to win this year. Or you go get that guy. But either way, that's a tough one. That's one you gotta. Again, that's one where you gotta get like 10 of your scouts in the door, right? A lot of people with inside information, and that's a sit down. That's a big sit down. Big sit down. Big conversation to be had.
Sweeps, Banchero.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can turn him. I don't think you can turn him down.
It's tough.
I don't think you can turn him down. Damn.
Just because how young he is too.
Fuck you, Ryan. Hey, fuck you, Ryan. I mean, that's what we were supposed to be off an hour ago, and now you got me down this Rancho Cucamonga fucking rabbit hole. Thanks a lot.
And finally, the last one I'll give you.
You got another one? You got another one? You just said last one. You just said last one. Now you're giving me the whole list.
I'm a liar with the trade machine. You know that.
Yeah.
The final one, and he is the most improved player of the year, and he just put up 26 the other night. Would you trade Tyrese Maxey for Bol Bol?
No.
No. Get the fuck out of here.
Here we go.
I'll sit on that for 5 minutes.
Here we go. We're not even saying we can't even have a seat on that. That's
too skinny.
That's a hang up. We already had that here. We're good. We've seen enough. We've seen enough of the family. We're all right. We'll take a seat on that one.
Just give me a world with Embiid, SGA, and Bol Bol. And I don't care if you don't ever win a game. I just need that for a week.
Oh, what a block.
There he goes again. Yeah. Oh, that's got swatted out the gym. Okay, we're good.
I was going to say, that's the dunk champ. That's the only thing he does well. Block some shots.
We're gonna now pass on that trade. But fun show. We appreciate everybody. Sixers win. We almost go 2 hours. This is fucking believable. I got some things to get done, and I can't get done tonight now, and I got to do it tomorrow morning. Didn't want to do it tomorrow morning. Didn't want to do it.
I'm divorced. This is cool.
Yep. Get the papers ready over here. You know what? You know a good lawyer? You might as well get the papers over here going.
Yeah, we got enough ads. We got enough sponsors that we need a divorce lawyer. I need a divorce lawyer. Anybody?
Any firm's welcome. Any firm is welcome.
Get 10% off all my merchandise. All my possessions.
Garage sale.
10% off all my possessions. Just use promo code A2D. You're gonna keep your house. You're gonna keep your house.
I'll be eating Maggio's bread in the fucking streets. All right, yeah, cool show though. Thanks for bringing me on this fucking show, fellas. Fuck you two guys.
Turn off the lights.
Fuck you, fuck him, fuck you two guys.
Well, make sure you use promo code A2D at whatever law firm we sign up for, and you're good. That's great. Gonna be without a house.
Cold out.
But if you use promo code, you stay there. Simple.
Tuck my sack back for warmth. It's cold out. It's 30 degrees out.
You need a place to stay. The trade machine's nice and warm. There's plenty of room.
Oh, yeah, we know it is.
I'm glad Ryan got his trade machines in. I'll be fucking homeless.
Episode 2, I had to get it in. We didn't get it in last week.
Yeah. We won 3 in a row. We won 3 in a row. And now the trade machine got hotter this week than it was last week. It's unbelievable.
Oh, listen, the stock's high. Listen, they're calling. Everybody wants some.
Yeah, I don't want to deal with anybody else. All right, great show, boys.
See you guys in 4 weeks. See you guys in 4 weeks.
Wake me up when SGA's here.
We were brought to you by FanUp, and FanUp is the best way to enjoy fantasy sports, daily NFL contests, and more. Win great prizes. Sign up today. Use promo code A2D. You get $50 to sign up. FanUp. You can download them right on the Apple Store. And like we talked about earlier, you want to support in any way, you can send stars over on Facebook and super chats over on YouTube. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. 10-9-8, huge win tonight. And let's keep it going tomorrow night. Timberwolves come to town. Let's get the 4 in a row. 4 in a row, banged up. Let's go. We're out of here.